Hey there, comic fans. As always, I'm Scott Harris King. Thank you so much for joining me here as we count down the last hour of the Quest number 3 Kickstarter campaign. Over the course of the next hour, I'm going to go over the campaign and I'm going to answer any questions that you, the viewer, has. We're going to talk about the comics. We'll talk about my other comics. We'll just talk about comic books in general because that's the main thing that I like to talk about. And we're just going to have a good old time. You know, it's a Friday night, and I know a lot of people like to party on Friday night, and what better kind of party could you possibly imagine than a good old-fashioned comic book Kickstarter party? In fact, right now, I'm going to just take 1 second to invite some more people over to the party by sharing the link here for this live stream with my people watching on Facebook. And so I'll just do that real quick here, and then we'll dive right into the last hour, see how we're doing with the campaign, and answer all of your questions. So this will just take me 1 second. As always, I always set everything up really early, and then, you know, something comes up in the last 2 minutes that throws everything off. But all right, here we go. All right, and now we're ready to party. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Anyone have any questions or comments, just post them down here in the comments section, and I'll be sure to answer those. But let's take a look at the campaign and see how we're doing. I'm going to bring this up here on the screen, and here it is. So you can see, let me just refresh this to make sure it's got the most up-to-date data possible. And Kickstarter had a bunch of pop-up windows. That's something new they've just started doing. But here we go. So as you can see, we got the campaign here for Quest number 3. The goal for this campaign was $3,300. We're currently at $3,524 with 142 backers, 57 minutes left to go. So first off, I want to thank everybody so much for all your support with the campaign. I really appreciate it very much. I always appreciate everybody's support, but in particular with this campaign, I know that, you know, finance is a little difficult right now. There's a lot of uncertainty about the economy. People are tightening their belts. So I really appreciate everything here. I've been hearing from my fellow creators that it is getting more and more difficult to get things funded on Kickstarter. And I don't think it's anything to do with less interest in stuff. It's really just to do with people having less money to buy things. So I take it very seriously that you have chosen to spend some of that money on my comics. It's humbling, and I feel grateful, but I also feel responsibility. So that's why I always try and get the comics out as soon as possible. This is my 14th campaign, and I've never been late fulfilling any of my previous 13 campaigns. I don't anticipate or intend to have anything late here. So if you are considering backing Quest number 3, first of all, I'll say that if you've missed the first 2 issues, we have several reward tiers that allow you to get all 3 issues with just a click of the button. There's some variant covers that you can add on if you want to get some different covers for that. So it's very easy to get the whole set. Obviously 1 and 2, I have both of them in hand. I'll be showing them off later. The physical copies of issues 1 and 2 that I already have printed. And issue 3, the situation where we're at right now is that it's all drawn. The flat colors have been added to everything. All the covers are done. So all I have to do is basically finish the coloring, you know, do the shading and just the finished colors, and then the lettering, and it'll be ready to go. That usually takes me about a month or so. So my expectation is that by mid-May, I should have this done and out to the printer. Along those lines, for those of you who are watching who maybe backed my previous campaign for the Crime Busters #6, which just ended at the beginning of February, that is at the printer right now. I've sent them the corrections. All I'm waiting for is confirmation from them that they've made the corrections, and then I'll give them the go ahead to actually print it. So if I haven't heard from them by Tuesday or so, I'm going to give them a call, but that should be happening anytime now. Because again, I did send them those corrections a few days ago. So I'm expecting to get Crime Buster 6 from the printer this month and have that sent out again on time. And I'm really excited to share that. And I'm really excited to share quest #3 with everybody. This is, a story that I've been really excited to tell for quite a while. I mean, I first started working on the world and the characters for Quest way back in the 90s. So it's actually been about almost 30 years now since I first started working on what this eventually became Quest. Now, the focus was on different characters. The plot was actually different. But the setup and some of the characters, the world building from that have sort of been maintained throughout. So that's very exciting. But specifically, when I started working on the comic book version of Quest a couple of years ago, I was originally going to do the story that's in issues 2 and 3. That was originally going to be the first story that was originally going to be issues 1 and 2. I wanted to have a little more setup where you get to know the characters a little bit more before the stuff happens here, because there's a lot of sort of shocking stuff that happens here. But this is the story that I've been dying to tell, and particularly this issue 3. It's really sort of it's the most metal thing that I've written so far. So really excited to get this out to everybody. The campaign's been very difficult. As I mentioned, it's becoming more difficult on Kickstarter to get backers. It's never been easy, but it's becoming harder just because I think that people just don't have the disposable income right now to do it. And so I've been working every Kickstarter is a lot of work. And I work really hard on all of them, but this one in particular, I've really pulled out all the stops to get us here to the finish line. We just funded about 24 hours ago with 1 day left. And I knew it was going to come right down to the wire, but as of just as of Monday, we're still $1,000 short. So I really appreciate everybody sort of rallying around this to get it done. Right now we're at 142 backers, and the most that we've had for either the first 2 issues was issue 1, where we had 143. So we just need one more backer in the next 51 minutes to tie the most that we've had for an issue of Quest. And if we can get 2 more backers in the next 51 minutes, get this to 144 backers, it'll be the most we've ever had for Quest. So that would be great. But honestly, just being funded is fine. I would never complain about anything, but also I'm very happy with where we're at now. And as we've talked about, people that have watched a lot of my live streams, because I do this for the end of every campaign, there have been a couple in the past, one in particular, where we had someone cancel their pledge with 2 minutes left in the campaign. So we may go backwards. We may not even have 142 by the time this is over in 51 minutes. But those are sort of the goals. I should say there's also a stretch goal that I don't expect to hit. The stretch goal is at $4,000. So if we were to hit 4,000 in the next 50 minutes, then we're going to do a new trading card that everybody's going to get. There's going to be a digital version for people that get the PDF. There'll be a physical version for the physical backers. There's also going to be a new mini print, and that'll be included in all the PDF as well. But there'll be a physical mini print, about the same size as the comic cover. So it's going to be 7 by 10.5. That will mail that to everybody, and we'll have some more new bonus digital awards for everybody. So that's if we get to 4,000. It doesn't look likely at this point, but there are people that are following the campaign, to see how to maybe thinking about backing. And I still have over 190 followers who have not backed the campaign. So It's possible that in the next 49 minutes, we may actually get, if we get just a few of those people come in, we may hit the number. We have had a couple cancellations just in the last hour that have actually dropped us back down to this number we're at now. So, an hour ago was looking a little more likely they would hit 4,000, but anything's possible. Again, that's just something to give, because I want to give everyone the bonus rewards. But because of the extra printing costs of the trading cards in particular are becoming more and more expensive to make, and the prints, we would need to get to 4,000 in order to get those out. And also, like, even those don't weigh very much, the two together do have a marginal effect on the weight of the packages, and so it will increase the shipping to include those. So anyway, I don't expect to hit that goal, but I just wanted to mention that for those of you watching who may be wondering about stretch goals. That's basically where we're at with the stretch goals. Normally I put that right at the top of the page, so we'll scroll down a little bit, and we got the tagline here: Left 4 Dead, the paladin fast fights from beyond the grave to save her friends and the world. And this is about a ragtag party of adventurers thrown together by fate, charged with an impossible quest to save their doomed world. And it's like Conan and Red Sonja, Dungeons and Dragons, all the stuff, the sword and sorcery stuff that I still love today, but really loved as a kid, growing up in the late 70s and in the 80s. This is sort of my love letter to those things. And then we got the full-size cover here. It's by interior artist Rock Alves. It's an homage of Mike Zeck's classic cover from Web of Spider-Man number 32. And normally I have right at the top of the page at this point in the campaign a graphic that shows like the bonus rewards, the stretch goals. We also had already unlocked some milestone goals, some bonus digital stuff. So like the PDF's going to be enhanced. There's going to be a variant cover gallery. There's going to be some concept sketches. There's going to be some extra stuff in there. There's also going to be digital wallpapers for everybody. There's going to be an audio commentary track. That's all been unlocked. And normally I have a graphic here, but I was actually have been having some technical issues with Kickstarter, that a bunch of error messages. It wasn't really allowing me to actually update the page. So that's why none of that information is on the page. So I want to tell everyone about that. That's why we're not seeing those graphics at the top. If you've gone to the page and you're wondering, hey, what about the stretch goals? There are stretch goals. There are milestone goals already unlocked. I just don't really have a way to show them right now because of the glitches on the page. But I did want to mention again, like here's the thing where you see the first 3 issues. It's really gratifying to me as a creator to when I start getting multiple issues into the series, when you start to be able to do graphics like this, where you can see all the covers together. And it's really exciting because this is, again, something I've been living with in my head for almost 30 years since I started working on this in the mid 90s. And so to have it like exist and slowly sort of come into focus is really exciting. And we've got a couple reward tiers. You can get the set of the PDFs is $16 for all 3 issues. And that's 73 pages of stories plus a bunch of bonus material. So that's 73 pages of the comic story. There's also like a text page in each issue that gives some like backstory about the world and some world building stuff. And there's pinups and back cover art and like a bunch of stuff. So you're getting a lot of stuff. The physical set is 27 plus shipping. So it's a great time to jump in. So you're getting a little bit of a discount on the price of normally $10 each. If you get the set, they're only $9. Plus you're getting the combined shipping on the whole set. So it's a perfect time to do that. And so I've got my little text here. And then also we've got this, which is the D&D version with a cover homaging the old D&D module designs from the late 70s and early 80s. And in particular, this is a cover that I drew, but it's an homage to excuse me. sorry, it's an homage to the art of David Sutherland III. He has a famous image that he did, an illustration for old D&D books called A Paladin in Hell, which is perfect for this story in this issue. And so we did the D&D cover like that. And it's not just a variant cover. If you get the RPG edition, every issue has the bonus pages of gaming material in the back, so you can play through the adventure in the comic. Once you've read the comic, then you can play the story in your own home game. It's got rules for the classes, it's got the monster rules, it's got a mini module in each issue, so you can play the world of Quest in your own home game. And here's the graphic. It shows all three of them so far together. And again, this is discounted. You can get them. The PDF versions are $8 each. Normally the physical versions are $20 each, but if you get the set, it's $55 for the set. So this is the most popular reward that people choose, is the D&D cover. So and I love it. It's my favorite thing. John, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Just to mention, I always say this when I'm on my live stream, when I'm on the other page scrolling through the page, I can't see any comments. So I'm sorry if I'm a little late with your seeing your comments, but I promise I'll get to them. So if you have any questions about anything on here, let me know. And I do have the first 2 issues, the modules here, because they've already been printed. So once I'm done showing the page, I'll show those to you so you can see what they look like. Then on the page, we've got the sample pages. So we've got the beginning of issue 1, and then we've got the beginning of issue 2, and then we've got the beginning of issue 3. If you've read the first 2 issues, you may notice that normally at the beginning, these issues, I have a big 2-page spread, and right at the beginning, but there isn't one at the beginning of issue 3. But trust me, you're going to be getting it. There's actually 2 different double page splashes in this story. Once it really kicks off, it just takes a little longer to get to it. So I'm really excited for that. Now, when I get to issue 4, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, because in terms of the Kickstarter page, because it's starting to be a little too much to show the previews of all the pages, but we'll figure it out when we get there. And here I just go over some of the rewards I was just talking about that I wanted to highlight. Here's the artist's edition. This is a Virgin variant. It's drawn by J. Travis Smith, who is known for like his 90s style art. So he seemed like the perfect person to do this Todd McFarlane homage. This is limited to 50 copies. And then there's a metal version where I'm only making 25 copies that you can also get for a little bit more. And then these here, the Unending Quest books, are done to look like the TSR Endless Quest, like choose your own adventure books from the 80s, which I'm a huge fan of. And I actually have a pile of them right next to my computer, so I can show some of those off in a minute as well. And then you can, I didn't actually have enough room I had so many pledge levels that I didn't have room to put everything. So one pledge level I didn't have room for this time was a set of 3, like a discounted set, but you can add on issues 1 and 2 if you want to get the whole set in the book cover versions. And again, I have the first 2 issues here, so I can show you what those look like finished. And then here's my Bronze Age variant. It's done to look like, specifically like the Conan comics from the 70s, but more generally just sort of a Bronze Age 70s comics, which is my favorite era. It's both my favorite era of comics in terms of reading comics, but also design. I love the Marvel frame covers. And I just love everything about the design from the early part of the 70s. So I had to do that. A lot of these things are just stuff that I think is cool, and hopefully other people think is cool as well. And speaking of that, here is the 5th anniversary variant cover. So this year marks 5 years since I started doing comics under the Crimebuster Comics name. My first comic was Crimebusters #1, which it finished on Kickstarter almost exactly 5 years ago. So every comic that I'm doing this year, and it looks like probably in the beginning of next year, just because it takes so long to get the stuff out. But everything in this 5th anniversary year, there's going to be an 5th anniversary cover like this one that's designed to look like the Marvel 25th anniversary covers from 1986, which came out right after I started collecting comics. So like, it's a big nostalgia for me. I'm really excited to get these. And get the whole set of them. So we've already done the Crime Busters number 6, had one of these featuring the main character Crime Buster. Here's our Hugin, the Dwarven Ranger. And this is by a guy named Samir Samau. And he's done all of not all, but most of these anniversary covers are going to be by Samir. And he really knocked this one out of the park. It looks so cool. And I got to tell you, he did some for Cthulhu versus Uncle Sam, one of my other comics that I probably won't be able to get those out to the beginning of next year, but those look totally awesome. So really excited to share those with everybody. And I also, this time I did the blanks. This is the first time I've ever done blanks for Quest. So if you want to get a blank Quest cover, so you can draw your own cover, I have those available. Or if you want me to draw on a blank, that's also available. And I do those with markers. Sometimes I color them in with colored pencils to give them be a little more subtle, but I'll do the line work and the inking in black marker. But we'll see if anybody wants those. And then we have some of the art variants from the first couple issues are available. Sets of prints, sketch cards that I do. If you don't want a full cover, you just want me to do like a single character on a trading card, I'll draw those. Those are $5 each. So, and there's a picture of me with my first edition Dungeon Master's Guide, where I was trying to look as much like noted warlock Alan Moore as I could. I don't normally look like that, but and then here's the back cover for issue 3. Raleigh Marshadesh does all the back covers. And I love his style because it's very reminiscent of the D&D illustrations, the black and white illustrations in the D&D books back in the 70s and 80s. So it really has that feel that I love. So, yeah, so that's basically the campaign. I'm going to refresh this real quick and see where we're at in terms of the numbers. And we're still at the same place. It looked like 142 backers, and $3,524. So let me pull this back out. So that's the campaign. Again, we do have a stretch goal of 4,000. I don't think we're going to hit that, but anything's possible. There's still a half hour left. But it's really exciting to me to be able to share this stuff with you. Let me show you some of the first 2 issues that are already printed. I've got them all in hand. I've got a whole box of them right here. So of course we got the regular issue editions of Quest 1 and 2. So those are really cool. And like the back covers, I was just talking about Raleigh Marshadesh. We do the black covers in black and white. Let me get this right here. Yeah, there we go. Again, just the feel of them is very sort of like early 80s TSR illustrations you would see in the Monsters Manual. So that's really exciting. And those are on the back cover of just about every version. So like if you get one of the variant covers, it's still going to have this on the back cover. There's been 1 or 2 that I've done that had a different back cover just because of the way the printer worked. But almost all of them have, hold on, there we go, these here. So those are the regular versions. Here's the module versions. There's issue 1 and 2, and they're homaging specific modules. Issue 1 is a module called The Lost Caverns of Sojanth, and issue 2, of course, is The Keep on the Borderlands, which used to come with the red box from D&D, and is my favorite module. And then if it's got the story, of course, it's got the whole comic. But then if you keep going, it's got the mini module. There's several pages of the mini module here, so your DM can run you through it. We got the class rules. In this case, it's how the lore master bard. It's like a bard subclass. One of our main characters, Maniac the elf, he's a lore master bard. So we have the rules on how lore master bard differs from a regular bard. He's basically, he doesn't like sing in battle or, play a flute while you're fighting a monster to give the other characters advantages. The way that he works in the system is that he's more of a historian, and so he gives people the same bonuses, but it's because he knows about the monster. So if you're a lore master bard, you're fighting a monster, you can do like a skill check. You have a chance of learning something like about the monster, and then you can tell your teammates, oh, they're vulnerable to fire, or there's a weak spot on their underbelly, or whatever it is, so that they can get a +1 hit or +1 damage. So it's just a different way to play bard. And then we also have the monster rules, the creature compendium here that's got the rules for the different monsters that are in the story. So whatever they're fighting in the main story, we've got the monster rules there, so you can play through that. And then each issue has a different, like the first issue had the rules for how paladins work in this world. And again, there's like a different module here. So every issue is going to have, they may not all have class rules, but I'm slowly filling in the classes for everything. Issue 3 is going to have the rules for ranger in this world, which are actually a little bit closer to something like the way ranger works in World of Warcraft, actually. And we've got some more that'll be in future issues as well. Issue 4 might be a little bit different because the story is a little bit different in issue 4. So I'm still trying to figure out how that'll work, but there'll be something there to further flesh out the world, and you'll still get like the a module and stuff like that. And then here's the Endless Quest book covers. Here's issue 1 and issue 2. And these are actually turning out to be quite popular, which is great. I've told the story before, but when we were doing issue 1, this was not originally available. It didn't even occur to me to do this. And then halfway through the campaign for issue 1, I was just messing around, and I was like, I love those TSR covers. I would love to have a book, those books. I loved those as a kid. So I was like, it'd be really cool to have those. So I just started messing around with graphic design to try and recreate the fonts. And it took a while to find like the exact fonts that they use and stuff. And I just basically made this for fun one day, and I thought, you know what, I really want that in my own collection. So I made it available, and a bunch of people ordered them, and they've actually been getting more and more popular. Every campaign that I do, more people are getting these. So that is really exciting for me. I love those. And as I mentioned, I have some of the books here. Let me grab them. Okay, so my favorite, this is a slightly different design because it's an older printing than the design on the ones that I've been doing are sort of like the early design. Well, I'll show you. This was the sort of original design because this is an early printing. Mountain of Mirrors is my favorite one of these books. But then I have sort of the, I'm missing a couple here. I don't know where I put them, but this is slightly later, and you can see like I've got the font is basically the same as I've been using, and where it says Endless Quest book number 10. For trademark reasons, I changed on mine to Unending Quest instead of Endless because I don't want to get sued. But that's the same font for that. I'm using a slightly different designs because these have the banner at the top. But the earlier ones that were sort of in between didn't have those. But anyway, there are some later designs that aren't quite as fun. Like Raid on Nightmare Castle, I just don't like the font on that one. And then this is a much later one, number 35, Vision. This is actually a Ravenloft book. This one came out after I had stopped reading these as a kid. So a bunch of but the other ones, like these here, 7, 8, and 9, these aren't D&D. They're other systems that TSR was doing at the time. Like this is, I think, just after I stopped buying them. So Circus of Fear and book 10, I had like the first 12 or 13 when they came out, but they lost me a little bit when they were doing these other non-Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, that was probably more than anyone cared about with those books, but I love those. And I actually found, I mean, some of these I had already, like this one, but I found several of these actually at a little free library one time. So I took them all, and then I donated some other books to replace them. But I was like, oh yeah, that's jackpot, motherload. Okay, and here's the Bronze Age ones for issue 1, which obviously is an homage to Barry Windsor Smith's cover from Conan number 1. And then issue 2. And now I drew both of these, although it's very close homage here on the Barry Windsor Smith stuff. This one, issue 2, I based the figure on Frank Thorne, Red Sonja cover. But other than that, I did all the rest myself. All the stuff. I had a flatter come in and do the flats, but I ended up actually changing quite a bit of the coloring on it for the finished one. So sorry about the lighting. It's actually going to reflection off of the computer, so that's a little tricky. But yeah, I just love the Bronze Age, and again, these are sort of for myself. I was originally thought about calling the comic Vest, that's the main character, but I wanted to do Quest because it was really more of a group get story, and just this little, it's easier to explain. Everyone sort of understands this with that name, but for my own collection, I wanted to have the series with the Vest as the title. So I've made those, you know, there's a couple people that have been getting them that dig them as much as I do. Maybe you have to be an old person like me to really dig those, but you know, they've been doing okay. So that's basically the first couple issues. If anyone wanted to see what those were like, all right, we only got about 27 minutes left, so let's take a look where we're at. I'm going to refresh the page. It usually updates automatically, but once in a while it'll just get stuck. So 26 minutes left, 142 backers, 35.24. We're still at the same money in backers, and like I said at the beginning, I'm totally happy with that. It would be nice to get 2 more backers just for the optics. Since we were at 143 for the first campaign, it would be nice to equal or top that, but I'm more than pleased with 142. So no complaints for anything from me. So we're just going to take a little sip here of some water. Going to drink. Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, topics you'd like me to address? It doesn't have to be about Quest. It can be about anything. Just let me know. All right, I'm gonna there's another campaign that I wanted to mention. There's 2 campaigns actually that I wanted to mention. So let me just show you those. These aren't from me, but other campaigns that are currently live from some of my comic book buddies. I would be remiss if I didn't mention these while I'm talking about comics. I was surprised a few months ago when I got the super backer tag from Kickstarter. Apparently I've backed so many comic books on here that I've become a super backer. And I do tend to spend a lot of money on comics while my campaigns are live. So, but let me just show you a couple things that I've backed here. Okay. All right. Hold on. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. Let me get this right here. All right. First, I want to mention Travis Gibbs' latest comic, Coins of Judas. And the idea behind Coins of Judas is basically that each of the 30 pieces of silver that were paid to Judas at the crucifixion were basically, through history, those coins have each summoned a different demon. And so there are these demon hunters that are hunting down the 30 demons, and they're collecting the coins of Judas. So Travis is a big advocate for the indie comics community. He has had me on his live stream a couple times to promote Quest. And so I wanted to just mention now, he's publishing this. He's got a publisher, Band of Bards, that's doing it. So he's not actually running this one himself, as he does with some of his other stuff. He's got another project coming up, which is a sequel to his series, Broke Down in Four Dead Bodies, which was very popular. But you can get the Coins of Judas here. It's only live for 25 more hours, so they're ending tomorrow at midnight Eastern. So if you're interested in this, you want to pick that up quickly. And then the other one that I want to show you is something, a series that I've talked about a lot, which is the Sentinels. Now Roy's got, this is Roy Johnson. There's 5 days left. He's still 1,000 away from his goal, so he needs some help getting there. But this is a super cool project. So the Sentinel, basically the whole concept behind the Sentinels is it's a high concept, but I love it. Is like the Sentinels is basically a series of what if a bunch of the superhero comics from the Golden Age had never been canceled. What would those characters have looked like if they had gotten the Silver Age revival in the 60s and then that series continued? Right. So imagine there's the Justice League and the Avengers, but imagine there's another publisher that was doing some of the other characters. And just like Marvel and DC brought them back and started printing in the early 60s, and what would that series look like? So the normal Sentinel series, his first issue is 267, and it imagines a whole like 20-year continuity. It's just that we've never read any of those stories. But when you like read issue 267, it has like, it'll say like the guy will come in and someone will say like, oh, we haven't seen him since we defeated him on the moon. And then there'll be a little thing that's like, see issue, 48. So it imagines this whole like history. What I really love about it is that it gives you the feel that I had as a kid. It gives me the feel that I had as a kid when I would go to a spinner rack and I would see, Fantastic. I remember I have a distinct memory of seeing Fantastic Four 280 on the spinner rack at Walden Books. That was the first issue of Fantastic Four that I bought, and buying it and reading it. And there was all this history and I didn't know what any of it was. And I really wanted to learn all these stories and all this history. Like, who are these characters they're talking about? Like, it gives you that feeling. Having said all of that, this issue is the first issue. So, issues like his regular series, he's got 9 issues out. So 267 to 275, I think, are all out. Right. But this is going back to issue 1. So those comics are basically done in like in a Copper Age style. So it's like if this book was being printed in 1986 and the series started in 1962, what would it feel like? So when you're reading, issue 267, it feels very much like reading like a issue of Justice League, like a pre-crisis Justice League, right? From like issue 220 or something. That's what it feels like to read a Sentinels 267. But this is for issue 1, so it's done in a Silver Age style. It's drawn and written to feel like a comic from like 1962. And so you can see here, you can get a version that's actually designed to look like it's all beat up. It's not, but it looks like it's all beat up, like it's something that, has been a well-loved treasure for collectors for the last, 30 years or something. Or you can get you can get the mint version, which just comes mint. And then here's some sample pages where you can sort of see the like Silver Age feel. And then here's those pages done in the back beat up back issue style, which gives it more of a sort of old newsprinty sort of feel to the artwork. So I mean, I've backed it already, and I have a full set of all of the Sentinels issues, so I'm excited for this. I think the story might be 15 pages, but there's an 8-page Silver Age style backup story featuring Atomic Chimp, which is a very sort of DC Silver Age sort of story. I recommend you checking out his page on Kickstarter to check it out, because it's so perfectly Silver Age. You can see that in his zoo cage, he's got a secret lair, and he's got like a fake, monkey dummy that he puts out to throw people off while he's off solving crime and stuff. It's just so great. Silver Age DC. I love it. So, I think a lot of you would really dig it, particularly people that, watch my Kickstarter, my YouTube channel. I think this is right up your alley. You can see he's just almost exactly $1,000 short with 5 days to go. Now, I was $1,000 short with 5 days to go, so I know we can get there. But check it out. I think you might really dig it. So anyway, I just wanted to share those things with all of you. I'm going to take another drink here. Again, if you have any questions about anything, let me know. Any comments? For those of you who do watch my YouTube channel, I wanted to mention real quick, there's a couple short videos that I put out this week that were basically hyping quest number 3 in the Kickstarter. That was me pulling out all the stops because I didn't think we were going to get funded. I just wanted to mention, like, that's something new that I was trying, because if you put a video on YouTube that's under a minute, it's automatically labeled as a YouTube short. And those are designed basically for people. It's like YouTube's version of TikTok. They're trying to get into that space. And so they promote those videos differently. The algorithm prioritizes the short videos. So that's what I've never done them before, but that's what I had heard. And so I decided to try it, and it did work in terms of, it got probably, I did 2 of them, and they each got about 5 times as many views as my regular videos. But it's something that I'm not planning on doing unless I really need to, because what I don't really like about it is that I thought when I was doing them that the shorts were going to be a separate section of my on YouTube, but they still come up as part of the regular. They still come up, like, if you're subscribed to me and you look at the thing, it still comes up as a regular video as well. And most of the stuff I do on my channel, I do talk about the comics I'm making and stuff, but I don't really want my YouTube channel to be advertising. I'm not really trying to push anything. Most of the time on my YouTube channel, I'm talking about back issues. Like right now, my computer here is actually sitting on a pile of back issues, and I've got like a big pile of like I'm resting all my stuff here on a big pile of, Charlton's from 1973. So that's what my YouTube channel is, and that's what I want to keep it at. So I wasn't real happy with YouTube putting those shorts on my regular channel, because it kind of makes my regular channel look like I'm just advertising and pitching stuff all the time. So I'm only going to do those shorts if I really need to, like I did this week to get this campaign done. But if you saw those and you're wondering what I was doing, I just wanted to mention, going forward, you can expect my normal video content. So it's going to be, I try and put out a video every Monday and every Thursday. And while I will have the live streams for the Kickstarter launches and stuff like that, most of it's still going to be about back issues and stuff. So I just wanted to say that while I have everybody here, if you're watching it later on my YouTube channel. Werewolf by Lunchtime, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hope you are doing well all the way from Australia. Thank you so much for watching. Hope everything is well down in Australia. Up here, of course, it's 11:15 at night. We had an earthquake today, which is extremely unusual. I mean, I've lived here in Massachusetts my whole life, so I'm almost 51. I think this is only the fourth time I remember having an earthquake. They've all been small. The earthquake was actually in New Jersey. So the epicenter of the earthquake was like over 200 miles away, but it actually woke me up. So it was still reverberating enough for me to feel it here. So hopefully you don't have anything like that going on in Australia. I appreciate you joining me. And again, if anybody has any questions about anything, it doesn't have to be about Quest or my Kickstarter or anything. If you just want to talk about comics, any questions, please feel free. I'm going to take a quick look at the campaign. We have 13 minutes left to see how it's going. And it looks like it's the same. Which again, I'm totally fine with, because we've had a couple times where we've had surprises right at the end of a campaign where people canceled their pledges at the last minute. Werewolf by Nighttime says, heard about the quake, hope not too serious. No, I don't think it was anything serious. It was only like a 4.2 on the Richter scale. It was very small, but basically what I was hearing was that we're not near any kind of fault line. Like we're like 3,000 miles from any of the fault lines. So it's a little strange for us to get from the major fault lines, I should say. It's very strange for us to get them here, but the whole area up here, the whole region is apparently it's just like a giant sheet of bedrock. So when there's a quake, there's nowhere for the energy to dissipate. So it just sort of reverberates everywhere. So I don't think anything really happened. I think in New Jersey, it was where the epicenter was. It was just like some people had, their lamps knocked over, stuff like that. I haven't heard about anything major. Certainly nothing up here where I am 200 miles away. It was just, I happened to be asleep when it happened. And it woke me up and I was like, are we having an earthquake? And then it stopped and I went back to sleep. So, so it wasn't too bad. But it's weird. We don't get those very often here. So I think what I'll do, if nobody has any questions, again, ask anything you like. I can interrupt what I'm doing here. But since we're only 10 minutes away from the end of the campaign for quest number 3, I thought I would give those of you who've shown up here a sneak peek at quest number 4, because I do have some of the covers done for quest number 4. Not all of them, but I do have some of them. So let me see if I can get that called up. Technology is always a challenge here. Let's see. Okay, all right. Almost got this figured out. All right. Okay, so next issue, we've got a guest artist coming in for issue 4. Her style is a little more cartoony. If you're a fan of like the the Dungeons and Dragons cartoons in the 80s. You know, it's got more of that sort of cartoon feel as opposed to sort of the gritty like action stuff for the first 3 issues. She's just doing issue 4. Issue 4's got a little bit of a different feel, so I thought we'd see if people like this style for it. But with issue 5, we're going back to the original regular artist for Quest, which is Marcos Lima, who did issue 1. But let me just show you. This is Lisa Wynn, who did this cover here. So here's the cover for issue 4, which has our Paladin Vess here. Is she alive? Is she dead? I don't know. We'll have to find out. And this is a little bit of a challenge for me in terms of the logo and numbering, because normally I like having a great big logo at the top, but there was really nowhere to put it. We had talked about putting it at the bottom, but then you're covering up her hands and the sword. I don't want to cover anything else up here. So this one's going to have the little logo up in the corner because I really want everyone to see the artwork for this. Okay. So there's that. Werewolf by Lunchtime asks, these are your self-penned comics with various artists. Yes, that's right. So I write all of the comics, and then I draw some of them. I drew the first 4 issues of my series Crime Buster. I just draw so slowly that I decided if I want to tell the stories that I want to tell, I need to hire other artists that are faster than I am, because it takes me like 10 months to draw 1 issue. And so I've been working with different artists on the different comics, but I also still draw some of the variant covers. I don't think you were here earlier when I was showing like here's the campaign again. And I did this D&D. This is an homage cover. So it's not like an original composition. I had to do all the colors myself, and I had to swap out the creatures. These are the creatures from my comic. So I had to take out the monster the paladin was fighting and put my character in the place of the paladin. But I did this cover, and then I did the Bronze Age cover, which is this one here. So this is done to look like a Bronze Age Marvel cover. I drew this. The colors are by my colorist Adriel Dalla Vecchia, but I did all the art here. The figures of the red monsters at the bottom, I based those on some Renaissance paintings. I was looking at all these different paintings of like fallen angels being cast out of heaven, because I really wanted to give that sort of epic biblical feel, the paladin fighting the casting down the demons. So a lot of those figures are based, like they're sort of homaging the works of I just blanked on the name. Peter Paul Rubens mostly, although I looked at a couple others. But so I did that one. But the artists inside are by other people. And then so Werewolf by Lunch, still faster than Arthur Adams or Barry Windsor Smith. It's true. You know, I actually have I've showed this off on my channel before, but speaking of cool things from Kickstarter, just about 6 weeks ago, I got the Arthur Adams, the art of Arthur Adams from Kickstarter. It's this great big coffee table book, and it's got some of reproductions of the original pencils, but it's got a bunch of like fantastic artwork by Art Adams. A lot of fantasy art from Art Adams. Just some tremendous stuff. I love Art Adams. So yeah. Let's see. And then let me see. I did also want to show a couple other covers. So the first 3 issues, I've done those Bronze Age covers myself, but for issue 4, this was really cool. There's an artist by the name of oh my goodness, I just blanked on his name. Hold on, I need to give him credit for this before I show it. It's Eiler Azusano. Sorry, I know that name, um, but Eiler actually did this art as a fan art. He is a comic book artist, so he drew this. It wasn't commissioned or anything, and then I ended up hiring to do a second cover. But I'm really pleased with how cool this looks. So let me show this to you. Oops. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay. So here is the cover that Eiler did for issue 4, and then for this one, the artwork didn't really fit in the regular full frame cover, so I did what I call the semi frame. So when Marvel stopped doing the full frame covers at the end of 1973, I think, right at the beginning of 74, I forget which, there was 2 months where they did the semi frame where there was a banner across the top, but they just cut the frame down off the left and the bottom. So I did that. I took the logo and I shrunk it down to be that. And those had the quote unquote corner boxes, but they had like the little circle for some of them. So basically, I did the graphic design here to make it again still look like those early 70s Marvels. But this is the really cool cover that Eiler did, featuring their main character Vess after a battle. So I'm really excited for that cover. I love yellow covers. So like that's why I made it sort of the bright yellow. I got out a couple of my yellow semi frames. There's like a Sergeant Fury 112, I think, has a yellow semi frame like this, which is sort of my basis for the graphic design. And then let me show you one more, and then we'll just go back to the end of the campaign here. This is very exciting. For those who got issue 1 of Quest, Erwin Arosa did this cover that looks like a sort of a movie poster, and that was super popular for issue 1, that sort of introducing all the characters. Well, in issue 4, we were being introduced to a whole new group of characters that are coming into the comic. And so I had him do a second new cover with the new characters sort of to go with the original from issue 1. And let me show that because it's super cool. Okay, so here's Erwin's cover for issue 4 with some of the new characters that we'll be meeting in issue 4. And he actually did 2 versions of this. It's the same artwork, but he did one with the sort of the blue as the main sort of background color, and he did another one with red. So we're going to have both of those available in different formats. I'm still tinkering to figure out exactly what we're going to do, but I think the blue one will be available in the virgin and the metal, because I think it's going to look so cool with metal on this one. So I'm really excited for issue 4. I mean, excited for every issue. So yeah, I just love making comics. What can I say? I just get very excited about making the comics. So let me stop all of that. We're down to the last minute, so let me switch over to the final minute of the campaign. $30 seconds to go. I'm just going to refresh it to make sure all the figures are up to date. Keeps doing this pop-up box. It looks like we're going to finish here at 142, 3,524. Very pleased with that. I want to thank everybody so much for the support here with quest number 3. was not an easy campaign. This was like, they're very, very stressful. This was probably the most stressful I've had, although Cthulhu versus Uncle Sam #2, I got really stressed out at the end of that. But this one, I honestly had a couple days at the beginning of the week where I did not think we were going to fund. And that was extremely stressful. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. John says, congrats. This is super cool. Thank you. Thanks, John. I really appreciate you coming and your support. Werewolf by Lunchtime was commenting on Eiler's cover. That's great. I like the lack of black lines around the figure. And also said, I think you're talking about the Arthur Adams. Yeah, I think it was only on Kickstarter. So it's not something that was, I don't know if they will be making it available in stores now that it's printed, but when it was made, I think it was a Kickstarter first or a Kickstarter exclusive. So there's actually another one that was very expensive that hasn't come yet. But Mike Grell, there's an Art of Mike Grell coffee table book that was on Kickstarter. And it's a collection of all of these commissions that Mike Grell has done over the years. So it's just like dozens and dozens of character commissions and stuff. Most of them nobody's ever seen before, except for the person that commissioned them. So I'm a huge Mike Grell fan, so I had to get that. It was very expensive. It was very expensive, but I figured I would be kicking myself if I didn't get it, because probably will never get to get it again. So I actually reached out to Mike Grell to see if I could commission something, but I never heard back from his art agent. So who knows? I might try again at some point, but that's it. The campaign is over. It was successful. Thanks to all of you. I couldn't do these comics without you guys. I really appreciate your support with the comic. I appreciate you coming to join me here on a Friday night, or in the case of Werewolf, a Saturday morning. I guess you're across the date line, so I guess it's Saturday morning for you. So I appreciate that very much. And I appreciate you watching my YouTube stuff. Again, we'll get back to the regular content next week. Hopefully have finally get around to doing my 1,000 subscriber Ask Me Anything and answer all the questions people asked when I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. This Arthur Adams thing, actually, I showed this before, but it came with some signed art prints. You can see it signed down here. There was a portfolio of these super high quality frameable prints. I can't show most of them because most of them, well, a lot of them involve nudity, so I can't show most of them. But the other ones aren't signed, just the first one. But there's some really great prints here that came with it. So anyway, and also some Art Adams bookmarks that came with it. So anyway, a little digression. But the other thing I might be doing this week, I haven't decided on this yet, but one of the most popular videos I ever made was a couple of weeks ago when I went into detail showing the pages of the Jack Chick Crusaders #2, the full-length comic where he just went completely off his tree, and it got a lot of very strange comments on that, but that video did about 30 times as many views as all my regular videos. So I might do another one of those. I haven't decided. I might not. I'm trying to decide whether it's really cool to get a lot more people watching the videos, but on the other hand, I basically had to decide not to answer any of the comments on the video because they started to get pretty weird. So I haven't decided, but I might do another one. People seem to enjoy that one. And also, I guess since I haven't ended the live stream yet, I should mention one more thing, is that I do have another Kickstarter. It won't be coming out until Quest 3 is sent to the printer. I always make sure before I launch a Kickstarter that The previous Kickstarter is, at the very least, had all the digital awards sent out, and the physical copies have been sent to the printer. I send the files to the printer because once I've done that, there's nothing else I can do. It's just a waiting for the printer. So once Quest 3 is done, the digital versions are sent out, and the physical versions at the printer, then I'll be launching my next Kickstarter, which is the long-awaited romance comic that I'm doing, because I'm a huge fan of romance comics. I have a huge collection of romance comics from the 60s and 70s, and so I'm doing my own romance comic, and there's a pre-launch page available. Let me show it to you real quick. And here it is. It's Geek Love #1. It's got stories about wizards in love, cosplayers in love, gamers in love. And it's also got a very romantic story about a funicular, the most romantic means of transportation ever devised. So if you're interested in romance comics, I guess I can share the link with you. This won't be launching until after Quest 3 is at the printer, so it's going to be the end of May probably at this point before I get this. But there's the link for it if anyone's interested. But that's the future. Now it's 11:06, so I'm probably going to end this live stream. Again, thank you all for your support. If anybody has any more comments or questions before you go, I can answer those. Werewolf says, thank you for your content. Take care. Thanks very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions before we go? Okay. Well, thank you again for coming, and thanks so much for the support with Quest. And I'll be back with more comics soon. And I'll be back talking about more back issues next week. And again, thanks very much.